Hi, I'm so happy to see you at the end of this tutorial series. So this was a very nice and a short and concise Django series. Now let us go to our main point. What else you can learn after this series? The number one thing that you would want to learn about Django is the Django authentication framework. How you can log in the user, log out the user, how you can do password resets and other stuff. But what happens with the authentication framework is I've seen a lot of YouTube videos and other tutorials where they just show you how to import a bunch of stuff and how you can create the views for these things. But I think that's a pretty shallow way of approaching the authentication framework. We need to understand in depth what happens when the user clicks on the login button. How can we create sessions and how the sessions are saved inside the cookie and how the session data is saved on a database and so on. So I think we need to have some better understanding of authentication in general. The second thing, you can learn more about the Django database API. You know what happens, all of the data is going to stay inside your database. So we need to understand how we can fetch the data from the database and also write back to the database. So you would want to learn more about the Django database API. Now for the Django database API, there are a lot of things that you can learn. The first thing is obviously how to create different models. The second thing is how to write efficient queries and query sets. And the third thing is how we can also write different kind of model managers and so on. So Django database API is also a pretty huge topic. The next would be to learn more about the views. Views are also called as controllers. So for example, we wrote controllers for the index and the show page and so on. And from the views, let me go to the next point. So the next point that you need to learn is all about the permissions framework. Now let me just try and give you a very simple example. Suppose you are creating some kind of an e-commerce application and there you would have different kinds of users. So suppose one user, he may be your customer, the second user could be your store manager, the third one can be your admin. So how you can show different views based on the user permissions. So this is what you need to learn. And the next would be learning about the REST framework, or how you can create RESTful applications by using your Django backend. Most of the times in future it may happen that you have some other kind of a front-end framework like React or Angular or something else. So at that time you need to create RESTful applications for our Django. So whenever you are creating RESTful applications, that time you will have to deal with JSON data. And these days we also have your protocol buffers and gRPC and so much other kind of a stuff. So you get the point. There is a lot to learn more about Django after this series. But for now, let me say you a nice goodbye. And just remember, my job is done and your job is just getting started. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.